Hello, Board Game Shenanigans here. I'm taking a look at this Kickstarter for the Aeons Trespass Odyssey second printing plus all new content. I wanted to take a look at this and have a talk about the way this campaign is designed, and also if I think this is a successful campaign, and also if I think it's worth it to back myself and see if what other people think about this game. I was drawn to this campaign somewhat through the recent controversy surrounding it, which I won't go into, but also about the just how it stood out when the campaign went live with its backer bundles and things like that. I was a bit confused by what they were actually trying to do at that point, and I guess that kind of drew me away from the game when I've heard positive things about it before from reviewers. A full disclaimer for this video: I won't be I'm not pointing the finger at Into the Unknown or any YouTubers or anyone who cares about this game. I'm just kind of making an observation about how this game is and about what the campaign is about and how people are talking about it. So we're coming up to the last few days now, so it is at 7,171 backers, which is, I think it's a decent number overall, and they've raised about £2.4 million, which converts to about 2.8 million euros, which is a good amount for the type of game it is, and I think that's quite a lot per backer there. And I think I've worked that out to about €400 per person, which is, I think it's quite a high backer cost per person there compared to other games. And I think that in comparison to the previous version Kickstarter of this game, that was about €132 per backer. So really, the individual price put forward by per person is now like 3 times as high, which I think that's just kind of showing that this game is it's not really bringing in many new people. I think the main thing is now people are putting more money forward, when I think what would make this campaign more successful was be if this was this amount of value but 20,000 backers. And I think part of this the problem with this game is there's so many different items and pledge levels that you can get that it's just a bit ridiculous. I mean, how much people would have to pay to get most of the content. So just to have a quick look, they have the start here where they cover the game, and they point out how it's like 300 hours for the campaign for the original game, and I think that's I do see that as a positive. It's showing that the value you when you're paying for the game, you're going to get gameplay value there. You're going to have a lot to play through over time. But I think some other people does put them off when they're like, I'm never going to have time to play it. But personally, for me, it's like, even if it takes years to get through it, that's a positive one in the way that you're going to be able to just go through this epic narrative campaign game, which is like, you can come back to from time to time and enjoy it on your own time, really. You don't have to rush through it. I think the problem with this game I have is that most of the people who have talked about the game and reviewed it, I think all these people, they've been getting the game for free from the developer rather than being a natural person who paid for the campaign in 2019 when the campaign was originally released. I think the problem is that these people are getting it for free, so they're not going to judge it the same way as someone who put money out of their own pocket to get it. Overall, there's many awards and giving it a 9.3 overall, which I'll get into later. But I think that with these, you have to take them like a grain of salt, really, because they don't really represent how good the game actually is. It just represents how much people want to spam reviews. Then they talk about, it's a discount, it's limited, so it's more things just to try and convince you to buy it now. But I don't feel you need to. I think that this is like a game that's going to be on late pledge for a while, and you don't have to put your money forward straight away. But then they kind of changed that a little later with the pledge levels, which I'll skip through to that. So compare them down the side about how many people. The Herakles pledge is the basic pledge where you've got the new main box that's coming out. So this is what made me like just turn my head and go, what? Is that they said this is a reprint, but then they've designed a new game that's a standalone sequel, which is got just as much content as the original game, if not more. So they've kind of just, why didn't they just do a reprint and then do this separately? Now they've just thrown it all into one campaign, and I think that's turned more people off, and that's why not as many people are backing this game as the original game. So like €118, I think it's a fair price for what you're getting, but I just think that that's just for the entry level pledge, and 1,000 people have gone for that. I think so. A lot more are going to be going for the much higher pledges, and I think there's still 1,500 people who are just sitting on the €1. So 2,500 of the backers are just going at the lowest level going in. So that means there's another 4,500 who are still like deciding. Oh, actually, no, 5,500. Yeah. Then you have the Odysseus pledge, which this is like the content that's already released, and that's about 390 backers there. So not as many people are just going in for what's already tried and tested and reviewed. I think more people are going in for what's new, but there's no guarantee what's new is going to be as good as what's already been released. There's no guarantee that they can even get it to you in time. I mean, this has got a March 2024 delivery date, which is 9 months away, but the new content, they're aiming for March 2025, which is an entire year after that. And I think 2025 is too I think it's too low. I think that it's going to be like 2026 before we get this game, the new version. So the Odysseus pledge, this is all that's come out, and this is another problem that made me turn my head and go, well, you didn't actually finish the original campaign. There's still a wave 2 to be shipped there. So they're starting a new campaign before the original's been finished. So I think that should have already been done and dusted, finished, and then do a reprint, not a reprint before the original print is even complete. I think that's another thing that might turn people off. It's turning me off anyway. It's just too much to consider that you've got a campaign halfway through between and trying to get new people on, but still haven't finished the original. It's a bit sneaky in my mind. Here's your Mortal pledge. They're not the next on here, but I'll come back to these ones in a minute. They have the Fates, the Mortal pledge. Yeah, Mortal pledge. So this one is everything from the original, including the stuff that's not out, plus the first box that is the entry level new pledge. And claiming 700 hours of gameplay just with this is like, some people go, well, I don't think anyone has put 700 hours into this part of the game yet. I mean, in just the one that's come out, no one's got even close. No one's even. I don't even know how many people are going to be finishing playing this so far. I think because it's only come out at tail end of last year, so 6 months out there really for the majority, but very few people are going to finish this by now. And then you move on to the Fates, and this is what just really was a bit ridiculous when I first saw it. So they started a pledge that was limited runs for each group. And because of how they've designed this campaign, they put these out there. You get your 4 big boxes, all campaigns, 12 campaigns, 12 Sins of Herakles. But they've done this, but they haven't thought about it because they put it out as limited. Everyone put their money down day one. But then now they've upped the pledge to an even higher pledge. So everyone who was in these that wanted everything, they've dropped out. So now they've got these 6 pledges of Fates, Fates Second, Fates Final, Fates Parasquale, and Fates. I don't know. After Fates, they call it what was it? Erenice, which is the same as Fates, just a tiny bit more expensive, like €4. I mean, why would you need to do that? It's €4. Just sell it for the same as this. Just make an unlimited version of this. They made the mistake now. The people are backing it, but they continue to double down on this mistake. And then they went, well, Erenice, we're gonna have Erenice Paradoxical, and so they've got 6 pledges that are identical, and that's just poor management, in my opinion. I think they don't know what they're really doing with these pledges. They should have just released the pledges day one, or just did it when they reveal all the content. They shouldn't have done this. Oh, you get a discount now, because now anyone get these discounts. There's the 6 pledges here that are all the same thing, just in a different name. And this is going to be a nightmare when these get taken over onto a new pledge manager, because they're going to have to copy all these pledges individually and make sure they're all the same, identical, with the same content. So that it's just 6 times the workload just to import it to a pledge manager. And it's a bit silly. But then you get the Argonaut. So they've added this in. This is all in from the last campaign. So your chance to get everything that did release and everything that hasn't released. I don't know which ones didn't release yet, but I think I know the Cycles 4 and 5 haven't. But the rest, I think that's... Some of that might have, I'm not sure, but this is my other issue with this game, which I'll get into after these last few pledge levels. So we've got the Herakles pledge, and this is everything new for this campaign. And as you can see, that costs more. So they've done a reprint campaign, but made another game that costs even more and has even more content than the original. I think that they haven't thought this through. This should have been its own campaign without a reprint. They shouldn't have put these together, because then they go with the monstrosity that's coming up, the Trismegius pledge, $1,029 United States just for this pledge, and people have been going for it. You can see 499. Oh, there's one left there, and there's a second one which you've got 151. So 650 people have gone all in with the $1,000. And the other thing that the real takeaway from this is at the bottom, where it says this pledge will not be available in the pledge manager, and that is ridiculous. Do they want money or not? Not many people are going to have 1,000 cash in hand to throw down this game this week. It's ridiculous. Most people will want this to be something they can save up for and then buy, not something that they have the money right now at the campaign time. This is something that they can't expand to in the pledge manager. They want this pledge if they want everything. And same with the all-in for this campaign and the all-in from the original campaign. So if you want all the new stuff, all the old stuff, or everything all together, you're going to have to put your money down now, months in advance. And I would say 2025, that's too soft of an estimate. I think we're seeing this game 2026 when we get the new content. I wouldn't trust that number, because their original campaign came in 2019 and they estimate end to 2020, start of 2021. I know there's COVID and other things aside that they've been, hurdles for them to get over, but a 2-year late game, that's not all COVID. That is to do with their game development time. So expect at least a year delay on some of this stuff, especially the brand new stuff, especially as they haven't finished the original campaign. If that's estimated for March next year, I think that's still too soon as well. I'm thinking that's going to be jumping down to maybe like September 2024. I don't expect it to be on time, especially with this, how this is, how much stuff they've got here. So we'll get into these little add-ons that you've got, all these individual add-ons that are tiny. So you've got €17, €27, and this one, it's a miniature, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. It's the miniature. You got the value there, but why do you need to individual out these little expansions? Just sell them in a big bundle. Most people want all of it. Not many people is going to go, ooh, I'll get the old timer Titan. Yeah. No, I think most people want, well, I'm getting that one, I've got to get this one as well, and this one, and this one, and this one, and they add them all up, and they get the bundle. They're not going to get them all as one individual thing, and they've just made the shipping situation worse for them because they've got so many individual SKUs that they're going to have to sell them all individually, and then they're going to pack them into these boxes, and there's going to be a logistical nightmare for the shipping company because they've got 50 items that they could possibly ship out in one big package. This go on and on, like all these different expansions and things that hardly anyone's going to get. This is the €200 box for the stuff that from the original campaign that hasn't been made yet. So you've got that to think about. So that's how much that bit's going to cost. So then it's 600 for the all-in for the old stuff. So it's just a massive cost to get everything here. And then you've got the luxury items, and these aren't even included in these all-in prices. You've got extra box for storage, deluxe tiles, dice, mats. If you want everything, you're going to be going to well over €1,000. And then you've got stretch goals, and the other issue I have with stretch goals is, most of us know that these things are kind of fake. They're not real. They've planned in advance. Well, they've got 6 new adventures, 100k, yeah. And I think their goal, being 40k at the start, that's not a real goal. So they've got a fake funding goal and then these fake stretch goals, right? When we get to this amount, you can get these extra adventures. But, they already knew probably how much they wanted for this game. Is if the game doesn't get the amount they actually want, they cancel it. Then we need 1 million, we're getting 1 million. If they don't get 1 million, they cancel the campaign before it gets too far. When they had said 40k at the start, it's like that's not a real goal. You couldn't make this game with 40 grand, especially with all this new content. So these $500 pledges, 100 people backing that gets their goal. They need to make more copies than 100 copies. That's not enough for a mass production of, especially with all these individual boxes. Only 100 of each? No, they need to make thousands of these to actually be sustainable. So then you go on, stretch goals. I know I'm kind of just flicking through this, but that's my other problem with this campaign. It's just so long. I'm only a tenth of the way in and it's still going. This is daily unlocks. Daily unlocks are fake, you're just showing them off. They're just showing off a bit of more content every day, which I think that's fine, showing off a bit of content a day, but they're not stretch goals. They're not any bonus. You already know you're getting them because they've already planned them. Then you go to top, how many backers they get, extra expansions, and they've got one for 10,000, which I think they can probably make this. I think that, and they only get this if you back it now during the campaign. So there's all this, you've got to get it now, or you're not going to get it. You have to pay an extra $30, $40 just to get it after the campaign, which it's just trying to get as many people as getting it now as possible, and that's why this $1,000 pledge is just too much. It's like you can't put this down right now. No one's got this planned out. They've not known that it was going to be this big until right now, and they see it in front of their face, and they're like, they're going to ask people, and they know, should we get this? Or should we jump in together? I think a lot of people won't bother. I think it's just turning more people off the game. It's like, how much are you making? This isn't going to ship in time. I'll wait and see. That's it. Then you got social goals. Give us likes, give us follows. It's like you need every type of possible way to say this is how to get the word out and make us get more content again. But it's all planned out. They could have just thrown us in anyway. It's like not much to it. And then they go through the overview, which I won't really cover. I mean, I think that some of this you're gonna get a good value of content. The minis are good. They might a lot of cards, so individual boxes might be worth it. But I think that in general that they're really just trying to nickel and dime you all at once instead of just doing it, drip feeding it in and letting you have a bit at a time. To move on a bit as well, we've got the covering the new box as well. It's just as much content as like the original. 3 campaigns. Did they have a time? I think it was 300 hours is what they were suggesting for the original game. And like I said, no one's really done that yet. It's like, we've only had the game for 6 months. People aren't going to be playing that much yet. There's plenty of campaign games that I think a lot of these people on Kickstarter, they've got more than one. They're not going to be playing just this game. There's going to be loads of them. They're compatible together, so you might want to get all of them. You can mix and match, exactly. So when that sort of thing comes in mind, you can get one or the other, but there's people there who are completionists. They want every piece of content possible, so they've got years and years of game to play. But we'd have to decide in the next 48 hours to decide if they want to get it. Again, it's just endless with how much stuff is in here, and no one's going to read all this. It's just too much to handle. It's like they could have really give you the Cliff Notes version and link somewhere else to the info. And it's the Kickstarter's problem as well. It's just an endless scroll. But I want to try and find the shipping information, which I know it's coming up, but it is just, there's no tabs. You can't just click and go. Oh, you go reviews. I'll cover reviews first. So, Tabletop Simulator, all good. Demos are good. I know you have to buy this, but it's, most people will pay the £10 to get the game and play it. It's not a big deal. So I'm not big on the digital space. I don't know how to work a lot of the Tabletop Simulator mods. They're very awkward, but overall it's there. People can learn it and have a look themselves. Rulebooks, all good. You've got some plan in advance, and the old rulebook is still suitable. And then you got reviews, and I like a lot of these channels. It's not like I'm slating them or anything, but a lot of these guys are getting the game for free. And when people are getting the game for free, you're getting a completely different opinion of someone than someone who just put the money out themselves. I mean, I think King of Average has been saying this is a great game since day one. He got the preview copy, the demo, so he's one of their, biggest guys helping them out from the beginning. So he's got a free copy. He's got his free copy sent to him. Dice Tower are massive. They're getting a copy sent to them. I think One Shop Co-op will probably say that in the video if he did. I'm not sure what this guy, Board Game Hangover, yeah, maybe he probably did. Liege could have bought it, but because he wasn't as, but he's a bit bigger now than he used to be. So I think this guy covered the new one, so he's in there with them. Same with Rolling Solo. He's got the Learn to Play. Board Offline, Board Online. Yeah, I always forget it the wrong way around. Board Offline, Board Online, Board Offline. That's it. And maybe he paid for it. I'm not sure. But I think anyone who's covering the new game, they've got it for free. So, you don't have to think about that. So that's this one. Wait your turn. Maybe he paid for it, or maybe he got it. I don't know. But that's my point, really. Just general, the ones they're sharing here are, free review copies. They're not the organic people saying the game's amazing. These are people who got the game for free. And if you're getting this game for free, it's a lot different than getting a game that costs about £20, $20 for free. Because with this, if you got the all-in from the original print, that's already, the Wave 1 that's already come out, you're getting a £234 a game there for free. So if you've got that for free, then you've got, a massive game just delivered to your doorstep, and you can cover it. You can have a completely different opinion than someone who's struggling to play it and got it and paid that full price with shipping for it back in the day. They're going to be like, well, I've waited 4 years to get this game. Here it is. Let's sit down. Let's play it. And they're not going to have the same opinion. They're going to be like, oh, is that it? Oh, what's this rule book? How's this? It's going to have loads of issues, and it's not going to work out for them. I think that a lot of people, they're not going to have the same opinion as a reviewer that's getting it for free. It's going to be, it's such a pricey game that it's going to be completely polar opposites, I think. I think some people are just going to be more disappointed or think it's too complicated for them. I think that it's going to take a long time for some people to get into this game. And I think it is like that. I think there's not many people who've beaten this game. It's hundreds of hours. No one's got through like all 3 cycles, really. Very few of people are going to do that. If you have played this game, let me know how long it takes to do a cycle. Not much about that online. People saying how long does it take to play through it. I think some people are saying that, it's still like, is it 100 hours each? not many people are going to put 100 hours in yet. I mean, so why sell more when no one's got through it yet? It's a bit too much. You've got your quotes again, just people saying. I think Fohammer got a review copy as well. So everyone's getting like these are like your reviewers, your ones who are in the game with them being offered review copies. So they're different types of people giving opinions here than people you'll find on the forums or in comment sections who've paid for it. And nothing to knock the people making the game here, really. I mean, it is part of the industry to hand out a copy for people to review, but in general, it's harder to, as a consumer like myself, to go in and go, let's get it based on a YouTube video, which I know is going to have a completely different mindset than someone who's paid the money. That's why it's harder to do that. And if I was getting a copy, I would, like, for free, I'd have to just keep saying that over and over, and I'd have to judge it a little bit more harshly, I think, which I know people say that, they can separate themselves out and say this is too much for them to handle. Like, well, I don't have to do this. I'm a guy that's getting for free. I'm unique. I'm not getting influenced by that. But they do get influenced. It's just the nature of it. You can't change it. It's part of the system. So finally, at the shipping, because it's an endless scroll. Shipping for the Mortal Pledge, which, just to remind you, it's the one that gives you the new box and all the old cycles, I think. Yeah. That's going to be your $76 to $87. That's a lot on top of what you've already got. And the all-in, I'm going to guess 150. I think that's a realistic representation of what an all-in's going to be. I think that is going to be a ridiculous shipment. I think that at least 10% of the $1,100 minimum at best. So the rest is just more showing off of the old stuff, which they could just do this with links. I don't know why they make it so long. It's just a bit ridiculous. But that's enough of that page. The other thing I want to touch on was the how many backers you've got. So it's about €400 a person there, and if we click over to their other campaigns, which they have done several campaigns, which are the Kingdom Forlorn and the original. These ones are just miniatures, and this was a cancelled card game, so this is their main bread and butter, what they've been doing. This one had 8,184. This one had 6,165, which that means they're consistent. I think they will go past the total here, but this one was roughly about €132 each per person, and this was about 181. So we've got this, like, it keeps jumping. Like the shark has jumped for this game at €400 each. Everyone's going for a massive pledge, and it's just too much for people to really grasp there. It's like we've got the same amount of people, but everyone's paying 3 times as much. That's just a bit ridiculous. So just to confirm that, yeah, you've got a 1.12 million for that, 1.082 for this one. So about $1 million each, but 1 million people with the same amount of backers. That means it's 3 times as much, because it's $3 million for the current campaign. A few other little things I wanted to touch on were how the game is, like, rated. So with Board Game Geek, you have this rating system, and people like to go on about Board Game Geek. I think that it's not the be-all end-all of the game, but it certainly has an impact on how you perceive the game. So a 9.3 from 1.9k. The majority of these are going to be 10 out of 10s, but how many of these 10 out of 10s have actually beaten the game? Not that many. How many have played 100 hours? I don't think it's going to be a tenth of that. I think well under 1,000, maybe a few hundred. There's a few reviews here, but look on yourself. I don't need to justify why other people can give a rating. People can give it a 10 if they want. It's not a big deal. It's the 9.3. I don't say, that means it's amazing immediately, because a game can not be out and have a terrible rating or a good rating. It doesn't really matter to me. I was looking at some of the user stats that people record in plays. this first page is about 100 people here, and they go from about 100 plays someone's got to 21. So shout out to these guys who've smashed through the game and just playing it loads. But I don't think anyone. I think 20 plays is probably too little. I think there's not even 100 recorded people who've beaten the game. Right? Real. Maybe I don't know how many missions per cycle you've got there, but if it's like 20, that's about 100 people. If it's like 50, you've only got like a handful of people who have beaten it, really. But if you know about that, how many I know the plays aren't accurate because people could record them based on how much they've put into it and however they've chose to record them. But if you know how many missions you're going to do per one, let me know in the comments, because I can only find that info online where people have said that, you know, they're going to play 50 times per cycle or something. I don't know how it works. I've not looked into that. I've not seen it online. So, yeah. And I saw this other comment thread from Daniel Schlosser here. He made a nice table for the cost of the game. And I think that's quite a good way to like visualize the cost of it here. So, €960 for the all-in like gameplay, and then you have the extras that are all deluxe. That would be 1255. That's a super pricey for everything, really. I know that, you know, you don't have to get everything. I know that's just part of it, but it's about how much you're selling, really, isn't it? It's, you know, there are people who are backing it for everything. I think there's about 500 or what was it, 500, 650 was it? So people are going in for it, and, you know, they'll be adding some of this stuff, and, you know, they'll add more later, probably after the campaign's over. So that's a big, massive type of game, really. And, you know, you got to eye it yourself. What are you going to get? What do you want from this game? It's like, maybe that is enough. You know, the original game that's proven to be good. People like it. It might have some issues, but overall, it ain't going to be that too bad on your wallet. But when they've got a campaign, I think it's just a bit of red flags when they're managing it with all these different fates and erroneous pledges. It's like, well, did you really need to do 6 pledges for the same thing? Yeah, and the last thing I wanted to cover was just another thing. I've not backed this game in particular, but I was looking at Elden Ring, and, you know, it was a massive video game, and people were slating this, and the ratings here, like 3.7. That's just like, why are you going so hard on this one game? I mean, I think some of it is there's video game people coming in and thinking video games are like board games. You know, they should cost this much. You know, get a PS5 instead. That's that sort of thing. But I think that, you know, there's people saying about the cost for this game, but, you know, compared to Aeon Trespass Odyssey, this is cheap. Get this game if you want a full game that's cheaper and has a 300-hour campaign. It's just as much, the cost. And then this game, actually, on the Kickstarter side of it, also, you know, it got about the same amount, but it had well more people backing it. It's like double the people backing it, but about the same. So, again, this is a game where people have gone in with a lower level. They're going in for like a few £100, not 400 that this campaign's doing. So again, it's like the average backer, they're going all in a bit different levels, but I think overall that the way this game is, I'm just thinking of the bigger picture with, when's the bubble going to burst for what is too outrageous for people to consider buying? Because for me, I saw Madara, the late pledge. It just finished, and that was about as much as the all in for this. And I was like, well, even just buying the Act 1 was looking a bit too pricey for me. I think that it was like, well, I can get other games that give you a lot more, or it's just a lot of story there, a lot of reading. And I mean, you know, sometimes, do I want a story game, or do I want a game that's got a bit of story, but it's mainly the gameplay you're doing? I think that Madara is one of those games with a giant list of things to cover. Like, you have to read and read and read and read for pages. But overall, I don't think this game is like risky. I think you'll probably get the game when you back it, but I think that gonna be a bit poorly managed. I think how many items are getting here? This is gonna be a disaster down the line. But at your own risk there, if you're gonna get a delivery and you're missing your prime, Nietzsche, and major, yeah, just some thoughts on this. I thought it was an interesting video to make, and the game could be, you know, the game could be like the best game ever made. It could be game of the year for this year, but overall, I do think that there's quite a lot that this game is having to offer here, and I think that's why it's not bringing in that many people. I think that if it was really amazing and the best game ever, it would have tripled that number that it has. And I think that, but it has done overall all right. I think that they've done well with the 2.4 million, but I do think that they should have just done two campaigns instead of just saying this is like the second printing plus all new content. I think they should have just done a second printing, added a few little deluxe things here or there in this campaign, and then the next one they cover the 12 Sins of Herakles and sell that separately. So if you like the video, please subscribe, like, and definitely comment your opinions on this game and what you think about Into the Unknown, Aeon Trespass Odyssey, or any other topic that might be related to Kickstarter and board games like this. Thanks for watching. Bye.